This is your daily market recap from Monday, October 17th, 2022. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
Max at XP Realty, aka the Trade Agent. This is your daily market recap for Monday, October 17th, 2022. Hopefully you're doing well. Interesting weekend action. Are we surprised at the market popping? No. We talked about on Friday, look for dips. Also look for the market to rally because the astounding amount of puts out there in ES short, everybody bearish, everybody expecting the world to end. We said watch out going into earnings. Why? Because typically earnings can be bullish because CEOs are going to pump their stocks. We also said if everyone's bearish and the market's down going in earnings, you should expect to pop. Talked about repeating patterns potentially of expectations of up. So many little things. The chart said, and the evidence was saying that we were due to pop. We talked about the first drop after the bottom should get bought. Clearly, it has been bought today. Usually, the Friday and Mondays have been absolute slammers. They haven't. Credit Suisse getting a lifeline for $10 billion from the United States. Then now you got the Saudis looking to blow all their money like drunken sailors on buying crappy banking institutions that have been around. Sounds like 2008, 2001, 1970. I mean, all the bear market tendencies of rallies. Temporary, rarely bottoms. If you have any questions, again, you know where to find me. If you're looking to get involved, Discord room is open, but I only want to invite people in who are ready. You know, I don't want people. I'm not Jim Cramer. I'm not going to answer every one of your questions. I don't know everything all the time. I think I know what I'm doing. My goal is to help you out. I don't fear competition. I share all of this freely. So be smart. Be aware that, again, students ready, teacher appears. All right, let's get into it. I think, again, we see how the market should be rallying. Talked about things we're going to pop. Let's go through the roster of friends. Bitcoin. I mean, you can't really get bearish the market Bitcoin if it keeps holding up. We talked about this action last week. I mean, pretty wide and loose. Wide and loose comparative to where it's been. Last time we did this, you see this like up and down. It resolved higher. I'm not bearish on Bitcoin. I mean, you can't really be. I mean, you have to. It's kind of, I don't know if you're familiar with time and price corrections, but you've had one. And if you go check the video, did it on what they are, type of corrections, sometimes you just got to let things play out. Like, you don't want to be too early to the party. Trust me, it's like showing up to tailgating for a Monday Night Football and you showed up Sunday morning. You're just way too early. So, on that note, not really bullish, not really bearish. But the tendency is the longer it holds, the floor holds, bigger the pop. Let's keep it in order. U.S. oil. Ay caramba. You guys know. Oil, we talked about it. We've been pretty much spot on, nailing this thing left and right. We talked about it would hold like the mid-70s. Da-ding, held it. Talked about it might reject 93. Da-ding. Now it's holding the backside of the trend lines. Da-ding. Keep in mind, too, here is another support zone. Come on. I forgot how to draw on trade view. You can see it. Here you go. We're at it. Not surprised we're going to bounce. I've said this 1,000 times. For the market to get drug more as the year goes on, we need to see commodities rise. You need to see oil back above 100. You need to see nat gas flying. You need to see everything start picking up because that's going to keep the Fed on the accelerator of raising interest rates to try to slow the market down. If it doesn't, you might get a prolonged period of digestion and indigestion, potentially. I hope that's not the case because I'd like to short the pop. And again, someone just asked, hey, I'm looking to short oil stocks here. I've been thinking it's fall, especially with EU price cap, but not sure. Smiley, I wouldn't short this stuff now. I absolutely would not short this stuff. Keep in mind, if the market is going into rally mode, oil service will rise. It always does. I mean, it's part of the market, those names. So now may they lag? Possibly. But I would not short oil service right now. I would absolutely not short it. I would let it come to you, like pick the price action, but no. NG, what an absolute, I would call frustrating trade. I mean, I don't know. Do you want to? I'm trying to draw the lines where I think it could happen. I mean, this is the highs from, man, October 2021. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you have to redraw this stuff after the fact. I stopped out of this stuff other than EQT because, again, just like oil service, like I don't want to short oil service. EQT is going to rise. Oil names are going to rise. You know, hindsight's 2020. Somebody said, wait for lower sixes. I don't know. I mean, someone's like, oh, it's a repeating pattern of this action. I'm like, this is all, don't use the recent charts other than the levels to compare now to 2021 or 2020 or any other year. This is, unprecedented kind of action. So on that note, nat gas probably going to pop at some point. If not, man, how much lower could it go? Mid fives seems like the next level. I don't even want to be around for that. Again, I've told folks, if you are trading natural gas right now, you need to see it go. And could this be a trap? Because we'll see it with the UNG. Absolutely. We've known nat gas to do what? Play trap games. Lots of trap games, right? Pop back, drop, pop back. Close at the lows, then pop back and chop out. Pop, close at the highs. I mean, just your typical trap patterns. This candle following today, just be aware. Do not let it go lower. Do not hold this any lower. Because again, you can always come back. That's why I'd rather stop out. And that's why I always tell people, like, don't make your charts too complicated where you're looking at 1,000 things, Sorry, congestion. If you do have too many things going on, you're going to, again, it's overanalysis leads to paralysis, right? You get too caught looking at certain things. Let's get into the markets. And again, things that weren't bearish. The dollar. Talked about this. Said, watch for the lower highs. Now we're at the 20-day. Does it consolidate or do we go lower? I mean, you had a little bit of distributive action in the last couple weeks. The dollar goes higher. It shows people are scared. People are dumping. The yen continues to get smoked. Well, now it's flipping a little bit. Not surprised. Overbought, right? Like, think of this. I mean, I've said this 1,000 times. People don't remember. Check out the monthly. I said months ago, I guess it wasn't really that many months ago, but said, watch, it's going to break out over 27. The end of the dollar bull market is going to be an absolute face ripper to the highs. I don't think we're there yet. However, I do see consolidation. I see a lower high. I mean, could it be days, weeks? I don't know. Things that aren't bearish, though, right? The market's going to like that. TLT, again, people are like, I want to buy it. I'm like, nah. I mean, I think it could pop. But the Fed hasn't announced anything close to a pivot. I don't know how bonds will react, but I do know we're at major support here on the TLT. Everybody knows that. 97, 98. But is it the best trade out there? This is where sometimes be late. Be late. The daily, it looks like you got accumulation down here, but do you think bonds are going to rip higher if commodity prices start popping? No. The VIX, talked about it, was not confirming. VIX did not make new highs as the market made new lows. Look at this action. Lower lows, lower highs. Indecision on Friday. And even Friday's action was like, doesn't seem that bad. Because it felt like more like the VIX should be at 34. And we were like barely even in the 32, 33 range. Remember? You remember it was so far ago. Remember Friday? Man, it was just so long ago. No, I'm just kidding. But do you get my point, though? The VIX doesn't really, and I've said this, watch 28 moving averages, convergences, or we fill this gap. And if you don't know what VIX termination means, options expiration is usually a VIX termination, meaning they want to smash VIX, like Hulk smash. The SPY. All right, we talked about it could have been a combination of repeating patterns. I thought it might be a double bottom. Now it's looking more like this pattern. Talked about this was a potentiality, and look what happened. The first day after didn't pull back like as much as we did recently, but it didn't resolve up at the 20-day, and that's where we're at. I personally think, though, look at this pattern, y'all. It's like a mixture of these two, and I know people are like, what are you talking about? You're just talking out of your butt. No. SPY drops 80 points, rallies, chops, then gets into the spirit of fear with high VIX and gap downs. Do y'all remember June? Because that was boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Approximately 80-point drop. Was it actually 80 points? Because I'm going to 430, 450. Yeah, 80 points. 460. Oh, sorry, 380. Yeah, 80 points approximately, right? Now what? All right, I think we're going to get this choppy, sloppy pattern into the end of the month, potentially. It's possibly there. Now, I could be wrong because everything can change. I love when people are like, oh, you should have seen that coming. No. How did I know caps on nat gas were going to drop it today? Someone goes, oh, well, if you would have been using wave theory, Elliott wave theory, you could have seen the potential down. I'm like, dude, get out of here with that crap. It's like the Bollinger Band. No, like you can't predict the moves and the news with any indicator, right? Like you don't really see it. You can't. I mean, sometimes you just chalk it up to bad luck. Always tell me like, yeah, I've owned trades and they gapped up against me and it was great. Didn't expect it. Gap down, it happens. Over time, it'll average out to about exactly even. So if we get this like pattern where we get up and chop, up, pull back. Now again, Friday's action, this is what I was talking about, like the first dip. I mean, that was pretty aggressive, right? 370 down to 350. I mean, that's a big move, y'all. And then you gap up today and it's holding high and tight. Things that aren't bearish. Again, QQQ, the laggard, piece of junk, whatever. You pick and choose your battles on this one. I don't like tech, but I think it could rally. Talked about it. And again, if you're shorting tech here, you are playing with fire. Fire. Probably gets up to the 20-day, maybe even up to 285. Maybe it squeezes to 290s. I don't know. I don't want tech. However, what did we say? IWM leads the market. What did you notice last week? It did not make new lows. Yesterday's rally or failure didn't even take, not that bad. I mean, she still is a halfy candle. Now you're back up over the 20-day. Over the 20-day. Now, again, people say, oh, moving averages aren't that important. It does. It matters when it didn't matter or when it mattered previously because you couldn't get over it there. You couldn't get it over there. Now you're over it. Probably 180s. Could you see the 200-day? 190? It's all out there, y'all. I'm telling you, just be careful. Earnings isn't always that bearish. Especially when GDP is minus. And again, we've talked about, said this last week. Did you not notice how certain names, Delta, Walgreens, I don't know. There's a few other companies that announced. Pepsi. Again, under promise, over deliver. That's what they do. They under promise how crappy the quarter is going to be, and then they come out and go, look, hey, we're pretty good. What happened? Sucker rallied. I mean, those things rallied back. Gold. I mean, I've tried to say how many times just leave it alone. I don't anticipate the big smash until the market smashes, but we talked about if you looked at the trend line, it held, it bounced. Backing up, light volume. Again, this space is it's a waste of time, in my opinion. I got people trying to say they're buying calls on miners. I'm like, man, I don't think people are piling into gold and silver miners, which they haven't. Silver, again, best time to buy this when the Fed capitulates. This could be just sloppy, choppy BS. Leave it alone. GDXJ, hey, we like juniors. Hey, Junior. They should hold up, but the market holds up. Talked about having to hold 28 level, closed at the lows, and gapped up. Again, who knows? I leave it alone. GDX, same thing. Close near the lows. I mean, this is just a dead pattern until you break out. I don't trust gold miners. Don't trade gold. Don't trust silver. Oh, but Dan, you're going to miss the big move, the reset, the global. No, I'm not. No, we're not there yet. The Feds are not anywhere clear capitulation. Now, I hope this stuff pops to reward those who are buying it, but pass. I'm passing on it. AG. Someone's talking about buying calls on it. I guess. Doesn't look great, but it's not that bearish either. It's holding the moving averages. AEM, this is one we do like. Ultimately, when the market capitulates big time because it's got the volume on the first lows, but it's choppy and sloppy. I don't know. I'm trying to find leaders and then stick to them, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Newmont, this is not a leader. This thing is dirt. leave it alone. Let me just talk about it. I just take a glance on it, make sure it's not showing anything wrong, like anomalous. Pass, like it a lot. Just, I don't think you're there yet. Again, if you want to trade these names, go right ahead. Personally, me, not interested. Tech said it didn't look that bearish last week. No, oh, keep in mind, when gold and silver didn't look capitulatory, like puking last week too, I'm like, man, they don't look that bad. What do we talk about with AMD? We're going to say with all these tech names. Like tight action, gap down, close the highs. Gap up, close at the lows, lowest volume, and indecision. Again, at channel lows. Now don't bring a ruler and be like, oh, your channel's a little off. No, it's holding-ish. I expect the stuff to bounce if the market's going to bounce. We not agree? NVIDIA, piece of junk. Channel lows, tight action, probably going to bounce. SMH, smash. Big volume, open at the low, close at the high, channel lows, tight action. Everyone's like, it has to lead to go up. Again, these are the laggards. I think money rotates into this stuff, and I would call it dumb money. Because again, lower, upper right, or upper left, lower right, that's not the type of action you want to see for a stock. But it can bounce. But all these names, I mean, I'd rather stay in the stuff that looks fuerte. You know what fuerte means. Strong, like a bull. Adobe talked about you could have sold puts, the 275s after earnings, and it was dumping. I mean, it's taking a bath. Expect it to bounce. Right? Expect it to bounce. Like, don't be surprised. Now what? See what happens. I don't know if that was earnings that guided down. I forgot. I think that was earnings, but we'll see. They're probably going to try to cherry pick good data. I mean, that's what they do in earnings. You know, Apple, things that don't look bearish, right? Like this should have been taking out, I would say, these lows, but you weren't even there on Friday and Thursday. I'm almost about to say Saturday. Oh, there wasn't trading on Saturday, dipstick. I mean, over the 8th day, it doesn't look terrible. Amazon, man, nice rally of 6 points. Holding up high and tight. I mean, higher lows. Higher lows. I don't know. Again, I think it's going to be one of these markets where those who are trading the extremes and patient will trade well, or those who are extremely quick. You take a point, take your points and go. Like, don't sit around and go, oh, well, now I got to add to it at X level. It's probably not right. CRM talked about this one being dead, but even the dead waken during Halloween, I guess. Google, Nancy Pelosi's buy got exercise calls. Good luck, Nancy. I wish you all of the luck in the world. Meta talked about this one being dead money since 155 broke. Again, all these names could potentially pop. Microsoft, dollar's down. Remember, they don't like higher dollar. Coming to the 20-day. Looks better than some of the other ones. Maybe it gets back up. I don't know, 250s. Again, all these names, not really that interested. NDAQ, talked about holding the trend line. Talked about shorting up here and didn't do it. Didn't have the cojones. Missed that. Gonna wait for it to bounce. MicroStrategy. Here you go. Doesn't look bearish. You know, we talked about like taking out June lows, things looking crappy. No. It's tough to be bearish when the stuff doesn't look bearish. You know what I mean? Like, it's not confirming. People asking, do you like Nancy? Do I like Nancy Pelosi? We knew she was buying calls on the SMH back in July for that trade, but right now, no. I mean, she's not bigger than the market, but Google, I don't know why she's buying Google. Has Google got news? Maybe somebody want to track that down. Netflix coming into earnings tomorrow afternoon. Rising. Keep in mind, this thing has taken a bath. We talk about bathing a lot. You have to be clean or dirty. No, I'm just kidding. Like, this thing's come down from 7 hundo approximately down to 214, 215, and it bounced. Not surprised. I mean, who knows what's going to happen on earnings? But if you are long it or short it, please be careful. The second mouse gets the cheese. Don't be in the trap. It could pop, could drop, but trade it afterwards. It might be easier. Roblox, things that aren't bearish. We talked about this every day. Now it gaps and goes. Professional gap. Someone's like, oh, I'm looking to short it. would not short this. Remember, this is a buyout target at some point. You're going into what? School year. Kids are playing the game. They're gaming together. In the summer, they don't hang out and play online. Maybe they get dragged on trips. They go outside. Maybe not. I'm too old to remember, or too old to know what kids do now. Personally, don't have any of them kids at the moment, but I see people's kids not around as much outside of the school year. Yeah, that is not bearish, y'all. Be careful trying to short. Another one, be careful shorting. Someone's in like, shorting Tesla. Mr. Oops. I would not short the pop yet. I know their earnings are coming, but that's the problem. Their earnings are coming Wednesday after the close. Who is going to make a big move in Tesla before earnings? It probably goes into this chop range. If you know your ranges and you want to trade it, feel free. Me personally, wouldn't touch it. It just doesn't really seem like it has much downside into earnings. It seems like it has more upside potential. I mean, that's why the whole market is probably oversold rallying going into earnings, right? Because all I have to say is we think the worst is behind us. And the market's like, yes, it is awesome. And the market rallies, or that stock rallies, and then insiders sell it, or smart money sells it afterwards. That's what I'd do. Let's get into commodity names, because again, I think these should rise. Holding up better, right? Bottomed in September, not last week. Holding up. I think I can still get 22s. X. We'll see. I mean, just have stops. Everything is a recommendation. If you hold me accountable and not yourself, you're wasting your time here. I'm just trying to give you the best knowledge. Nucor, we talked about buying it down here. Nice rally. Going into earnings. I mean, I think their earnings, they pre-announced. Their earnings are, I think they're this week. Yes, Thursday before the open. So be careful. Again, I prefer people do not hold into earnings. You have no clue what's going to happen. Nothing. Good news, bad news. It doesn't even matter if you know the news. I used to have information on the accounting of particular companies before it was public knowledge, and it didn't benefit me. And you didn't hear that. I was just making jokes, but get my point. Even if you do know the information, you don't know which direction it could go because we don't know the reaction. It's like you can have great numbers, goes down. Bad numbers goes up. Bad numbers goes down. You don't know. So on that note, just be careful with Nucor, right? Someone asked me about Cliff. I did a lot of research on it. This company's balance sheet is absolute garbage. They need help. But holding the lows for now. We'll see. VALE. Leave it alone. I mean, again, I think this should pop maybe 14, 15s, but whatever. CCJ, everyone's like getting excited. Couple days, 3-day rule comes into effect, gets over the highs the last couple days, and then comes back under. I don't know if I would consider this bearish, bullish, but you have a 4-day range. We talk about ranges, right? You need to close over 2271 to have any chance of filling the gap. If not, I've said I think this goes lower, and not because I don't like the company, because what? They throw the baby out the bathwater. All these commodity stocks. I am a commodity long-term bull market guy, but not until after the Fed's pivot. And I repeat, not till after the Fed pivots. CF bought some more of this today. Been kind of adding the dips below the 20-day. Would like to get it rallying, but I'm not surprised they try to pin it under 100 for OPEX for a couple days. Pulls back. I mean, again, lower left, upper right. This looks way better. Not surprised they got tired up around 109, 18, whatever that was, 108. Has to hold the 100-day. 100-day was a great trade last time. Do we get to the 100-day? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Just depends if the market holds up. But if the market peels back, should it peel back with it? Yeah, you could see some onion in the 97 range. I personally think that if you are looking at any trades, try to stick to leaders. Now we were like, oh, it could lag. Well, if it lags, well, guess what? We did our best to try to get into the leaders. Because again, I don't like stuff that's all the way going looking this way. I'm looking at stuff that's trying to hold up and lead, right? Money rotates. It doesn't get destroyed. I always tell people, like, oh, there's not enough money out there. The market's imploding. There's nothing. No, stop it. Stop it. Holy crap, First Solar. Interesting. Okay. So watch CF. I think they're having some issues potentially with the Mississippi River. Someone confirm that or not. Mosaic, back to the trend line. Tight action. We'll see. NTR started snacking on this in the 80s. I mean, does it come back into the 70s? I don't know. This looks super interesting to me because, again, you have like this choppy pattern goes perpendicular, pulls back, makes a lower high. Now it pulls back to support. It gives you a really nice, easy risk reward because if it does pop, if this is a higher low than this, should a higher high follow? I don't know. Could we see the 107s? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I like that potential. Does that make sense for why the trade would work if commodities are gonna lead? I mean, that's the only way the market's gonna make new highs, or not new highs, sustain it. So the only way the market's gonna sustain up is what? Because the fundamentals are terrible for tech, and if the money's gonna rotate into things that are bullish, it should be commodities. They have the best upside right now. And again, nobody wants the outputs; they want the inputs. At this point, keep an eye on this stuff. I'm hoping we get some rallies at some point. We'll see what happens. Let's run through XBI real quick. Where are you? Things that aren't bearish. We talked about it. Was not breaking. Even the September lows. Not bearish, y'all. See that? Nothing else to say. Other than probably can rally back up into the 80s, mid 80s, maybe 90s. Financials. Again, if the financials are popping, the market ain't dropping. Talked about this action held up very well on Tuesday. Now you're just chopping near the highs. We'll see. Morgan Stanley, I mean, they got absolutely boot-licked on Friday, and now it's just chopping higher lows. I don't know if boot-lick's the best way. Oh, my God. JP Morgan have another 5 points. Things that aren't bearish. Oh, this crappy, junky stock. Look at this. No buyback. Jamie Dimon saying there's a recession coming. What a joke. Buddy Pass rising. Trying to think of where this might be the best short. Going to the monthly real quick, looking somewhere in the 120s maybe. Again, things that aren't bearish. I'm trying to warn people just don't get that aggressive to short. Let's get into solar because that's getting interesting. TAN flat for the day. Talked about needs to hold this little area around 60s. ENPH, man, really want to see this stuff pop. Please. Anywhere. 280, 310, 305. Oh, I know they got their earnings coming up, so you got to be careful. I mean, all these companies do. Sedge. Yeah, Mississippi water levels too affecting barge traffic. Yeah, I heard that with CF potentially. But again, I mean, that means they have more to sell later, I guess. It's not like they're holding a junky commodity or something people don't need. Only just raises the prices later. Yeah, Sedge, junky. I mean, it's due to bounce. We'll see. Could be a bear trap, or it could just look out below. First Solar. You killing me. We shorted up here on the fake breakout. Waiting for a pop. Waiting to exhale. Oh, brutal. I thought it would hold like 120 in this OPEX action. Wow. Don't know. Surprised it's dropping, but not surprised. Maybe because everyone was anticipating Nancy to have calls on this. I don't know, man. I don't know. If you're listening in, sorry. I mean, if got in, made 10, 15 points, some of y'all, it's hard to fade the market and the names in it. Rising tide lifts all boats. I don't really know what to say other than that. We nailed the top. This drop was not expected. I think someone was playing calls today. Trying. I mean, I could understand why. It just didn't work out. Gotta let it go. Got to let it go. And again, this is what's going to be so hard is you get these candles where it looks like the end of the world, then tight action the next day, then you come back around. Or it looks like everything's great, and then you reverse over. Everything looks like the world's ending, and it reverses back. I am curious to see how the next little bit plays out. When I say little bit, today, tomorrow, next few days. Does that make sense? Just, I don't know, be thoughtful out there. Be thoughtful of that you can be wrong kind of thing. Like, everybody who just doesn't think they can ever be wrong finds out that they will get actually destroyed at some point. Just keep that in mind. Y'all know that. Whew. Unreal. I mean, I'm very surprised. All right, let's get into oil names because I think this is the stuff that's going to lead up. XOP. mean, if you look at it since November, looking pretty solid. Holding up, higher lows, maybe higher highs, I've said at worst. Get into 140s. Could you feel the gap? I mean, I'm telling you right now, if you want to see the Feds accelerate the actual implosion of the market, you need oil and gas to rise. And if the market rises, do not short XOP. Do not short oil service names. It's that simple. If you do, you are a little early. Now, again, we acknowledge, we've talked about, throw the baby out the bathwater, all these names will get smoked. But if the market's not getting smoked, don't get in the smoker with the meat. Like, let it play out, man. Just let it play out. All right. USO, man, low of the day, around 70. Not surprised. I mean, it's holding. At some point, I think we get up into these 80s. I could be wrong. USO, keep an eye on it. UNG, absolute nightmare for me. Trying to buy as close to 22s, and you gap down and then puked. Bleh. Now people are saying, oh, now what? Have your stops, but be aware this could be a bear trap. Like here was at the, if you're familiar, Nat Gas has tons of gap traps. Gaps up, ends up being the bottom, right? Gaps up, not the bottom, the top. Gaps down, shortly reverses afterwards. Like, you know what I mean? Gap away, turns it down. Gap downs, I mean, I don't know what to say other than please be careful. I closed out of this stuff, and I will gladly wait for 22 if I need to get back in, because right now it's not bullish. I'm not going to sit here and lie to myself. Again, I don't need to run wave theory on this to look at this and go, well, you snapped the lows. Well, to be bullish, it needs to get back above 2180. It's that simple. If it does, you can get back into it. If it doesn't, 17, 18s. I think, yeah, Sonny, I agree with you. Sonny's talking about in Discord, and I agree. 17, 18s would make sense. Again, not in a hurry. Here's the thing about oil service, though, right? Like, they're part of the market. The market's rising. These are going to catch bids. Imagine if oil and these catch bids in the market. Here you go. Consolidating at the highs, not bearish, but also not reacting as fast as probably people want. Oxy. I don't know. Looks like there's a nice little trend here. It's holding it. Y'all see this? You've seen it. Oh, arrows. These are always fun. Let's see what happens. It's holding. I think at this point, you don't need to overthink it. It's not bearish till it breaks it, and it could hold up. I mean, all this stuff, y'all, going into earnings. We don't know. They might hold the oil names up. EQT. I did not stop out of this one today because I said to myself, give it a few minutes at the open, see what happens. It's holding up because the market's holding up. Holding the point of control, didn't add, didn't sell, just didn't do anything. Watching it. Higher highs, higher lows. We'll see what happens if it's coming. Because if nat gas and oil spike, and again, when I say spike, they don't even have to like go nuts. Just sustain and continue higher. You guys know how this works out. All right. I'm going to open it up. Open mic. Stop recording. I appreciate everybody. Love, support, donations, whatever. I mean, it's trading. If you're looking for somebody for guidance to tell you what to do always, you become dependent on other people. Goal is to be an independent company yourself. You run this like a business. Now, again, do we take advice from professionals? Yes. Like, if you want help, yeah. But ultimately, you hit enter, you hit exit. People just, it's so funny that when you're not, you're only as good as your last trade. We always talk about that. But a lot of people just seem to have in this mindset that, hey, if you're wrong now, you've never been right. It's like, okay, well, if that's what you want to believe, that's what you want to believe. Be safe out there. I'm trying to help.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.